Hey, I'm Linus, and welcome back to the CineStill studio. You know, we've covered the basics of developing color negative and black and white film on this channel, which is what most of y'all who have started processing your film at home may already have experience with. I've developed hundreds of rolls of film at home myself, and one of the most amazing and most incredibly satisfying moments of the whole process is pulling the negatives off the developing reel and seeing your work for the first time since shooting it. And if you think that's cool, you have got to try processing slide film. That moment, pulling your film off the developing reel, it's like 10 times better. If you've ever been intimidated by the idea of processing slide film at home on your own, don't worry. CineStill has simplified things down to just 3 chemical steps, allowing you to process beautiful color slides in just a few minutes with our Cs6 Creative Slide 3-bath process. Today, I'll be demonstrating this using our new Cs6 DynamicChrome 1000 milliliter kit. Colton? Which includes all the chemistry you need for the 3-bath Cs6 process in one box. Okay, here's what you'll need. A developing tank, 3 1-liter pitchers, 3 1-liter chemical storage bottles, our new Cs6 DynamicChrome kit, obviously, the TCS1000 temperature control system, an accurate thermometer, a 16-quart plastic tub for a water bath. Am I done? And lastly, and most importantly, a roll of slide film that you've shot. Any roll of film that says processed with E6, like Ektachrome and Velvia, is compatible with this kit and will give you beautiful slides as a result. Okay, let's hit the lab and mix some chemistry. Mixing your chemistry. The CineStill Cs6 Creative Slide 3-bath process is made of 3 chemical solutions, a first developer, a color and reversal bath, and a bleaches and fixers bath. Inside the box, you'll find a printed set of instructions and your chemical concentrates, which all have nice little labels on them so you know which one is which. We'll be using the TCS1000 to mix and heat our chemistry. If you don't have one, you can just use a clean stir stick. Okay, let's start with the first developer. The Cs6 family of chemistry has 3 different options for first developer, which each give your slides different characteristic color and dynamic range depending on which first developer you use. Now we've got D6 Daylight Chrome, T6 Tungsten Chrome, and D9 DynamicChrome, which is what we'll be using in processing our film with today. We'll cover the differences in each of these first developers with some side-by-side examples and comparisons in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. But right now, let's talk about the Cs6 kit. All right, grab one of your 1000 milliliter mixing pitchers and pour 600 to 700 milliliters of water into it. Next, while stirring or using the TCS1000 to circulate, pour in the contents of the powder packet labeled D9 and mix it up well so all of the powder dissolves properly. The total volume of the solution should be 1000 milliliters, so top it off with water and then continue mixing. It's important to be really careful of cross-contamination when mixing your chemistry with your TCS1000. Once your D9 stock solution is fully mixed, rinse your TCS1000 to clean out any chemical residue from inside of the unit. To rinse, place the TCS1000 into a clean pitcher of water and circulate. Replace the water and circulate again, and you're good to go. Pour the mixed first developer solution into one of your 1000 milliliter chemical storage bottles and make sure you secure the cap tightly. Make sure to label both the bottle and the cap to prevent any accidental cross-contamination. This 1000 milliliter first developer solution is your stock solution and it's not reusable. We'll be mixing some of it with water to prepare it as a one-shot working solution in a little bit. If you've ever used black and white developers like Rodinal or HC110, that'll feel very similar. Mixed stock solutions should be stored in tightly capped, fully filled chemical storage bottles for up to 2 to 6 weeks. The number of rolls you can process with one packet of first developer concentrate will completely depend on the dilution of your working solution and the chemical efficiency of your developing tank, but more on that later. Okay, now we'll mix the CR6 color and reversal bath. Pour 650 milliliters of water into a clean pitcher. Next, while stirring or using the TCS to circulate, pour in the contents of the bottle labeled CR6 Part A and mix well. Then do the same for CR6 Part B. The total volume of the solution should be 1000 milliliters, so top it off with some more water and then continue mixing. Once you've got it all mixed up, pour the solution into your second 1000 milliliter chemical storage bottle and make sure the cap is screwed on tight and label both the bottle and the cap appropriately. Unlike our first developer, which is a one-shot solution, the CR6 solution is reusable and it's capable of processing up to 16 rolls of film, and it should be stored in a tightly capped, fully filled chemical storage bottle for up to 6 to 12 weeks. Once you're done mixing, you'll want to rinse your TCS again to clean it out of any CR6 residue from inside the unit. I'm sure you're seeing a trend by now. Every time the TCS comes in contact with a chemistry, rinse it after you're done using the TCS with that chemistry. The last thing we're gonna mix is the BF6 Bleaches and Fixers bath. Pour 14 ounces of water into a clean pitcher. Next, while circulating with the TCS, pour in the contents of the bottle labeled BF6 Part A and mix well. Then do the same for BF6 Part B and C. Oh, and be careful, you do not want any Blix on your clothes. The total volume of the solution should be 1 quart, so top it off with some more water and then continue mixing. Once mixed, pour the solution into your third 1000 milliliter chemical storage bottle, securing the cap tightly and labeling both the bottle and the cap appropriately. This Blix solution is reusable and capable of processing up to 24 rolls of film, and then should be stored in a tightly capped, fully filled chemical storage bottle for up to 2 to 4 months. After your BF6 is fully mixed, you probably guessed it, rinse the TCS 1000 again to clean out any Blix residue from inside the unit. Here's a quick note on chemical contamination. Unlike with our Cs41 color negative chemistry, where the two-bath process is designed so developer can get into the Blix without deactivating the Blix, the CS6 process requires that no cross-contamination happens at all. A few drops of one chemical getting into another can cause color shifts at best or kill the chemistry at worst. Aside from rinsing the equipment you're using while mixing, it's critical that the chemistry is always poured back into the correct bottle and the correct cap is attached. So labeling all of the bottles and caps appropriately so they match up is one of the simplest ways to avoid making a chemistry ruining mistake. I've done it before where I've poured Blix into the stock first developer bottle and all of my chemistry was mixed up and unusable. Before pouring anything now, I personally take a second to think about what chemistry I'm pouring where. Anyway, let's talk processing your film. Okay, the first developer step of the CS6 3-bath process is a particularly temperature sensitive one. So the best, most accurate, and most consistent way to process your slide film is with the help of a temperature controlled water bath. You can use the TCS in a 16-quart plastic tub to create a water bath and place your bottles of chemistry in the tub. It may take some time for the heat to be transferred to the chemistry inside of the bottles. Just because the TCS and the water bath read one temperature does not mean that the chemistry inside of the bottles has hit that temperature yet. So always measure the temperature of the chemistry inside of the bottles using a thermometer to be sure they're up to the right temperature, and rinse your thermometer after measuring to prevent any accidental cross-contamination. If you choose to process outside of a temperature-controlled water bath, be sure to compensate for the temperature drop during processing by increasing the starting temperature by 2 to 4 degrees. After your film is loaded into your developing tank and your chemicals are up to temperature in your water bath, the last thing we'll need to do is prepare our one-shot first developer working strength solution. The minimum volume required to fully submerge your reels inside of your developing tank is usually printed somewhere on its side or on the bottom. Using this volume and your desired dilution, which is described in the instruction manual of this kit, mix your first developer stock solution with water in the correct amounts inside of the pitcher using the TCS 1000. Set the processing temperature to 104 degrees. Here, we're prepping a 1-to-1 dilution of D9 DynamicChrome first developer for our Jobo 1520 tank, which requires at least 485 milliliters of solution. Rounding that up to 500 milliliters, we'll be mixing 250 milliliters of D9 stock solution with 250 milliliters of water to make 500 milliliters total of single-shot D9 working strength solution. Once your first developer working strength solution is mixed up and up to temperature, quickly and carefully pour it into the tank. D9 1-to-1 will require 9 minutes and 15 seconds at a temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit, with continuous agitation for the first 10 seconds and then at least 4 inversion cycles every 30 seconds. Inversion style agitation looks like this. Invert the tank while also turning and spinning it on its axis in a smooth and steady motion. Between inversion cycles, it's good practice to tap the bottom of the developing tank to dislodge any air bubbles that could cause uneven development. To best control the temperature inside of the tank, semi-submerge the developing tank into the water bath between inversions. At the end of the developing time, remove the cap from the tank and pour the single-shot first developer working strength solution out, discarding it. Place the developing tank under running water that's about the same temperature as your chemistry and wash for 1 minute. Or instead of a running water wash, you can fill and empty the tank with water 6 times. Also, remember to wash the cap of the developing tank to prevent any cross-contamination. Next, quickly and carefully pour in the required volume of CR6 and fasten the cap. CR6 will require at least 6 minutes at between 80 degrees Fahrenheit and 104 degrees Fahrenheit, with the same agitation schedule as the first developer. Continuous agitation for the first 10 seconds, and then at least 4 inversion cycles every 30 seconds. At the end of the CR6 time, remove the cap from the tank and pour the CR6 out, recombining it with any excess chemistry still in the pitcher or storage bottle. Place the developing tank under running water that's about the same temperature as your chemistry and wash for 1 minute, or fill and empty the tank with water 6 times. Again, remember to also wash the cap of the developing tank. Next, quickly and carefully pour in the required volume of BF6 and fasten the cap. BF6 will require 6 to 10 minutes at a temperature between 75 degrees and 104 degrees Fahrenheit, with the same agitation schedule as the other 2 chemicals. Continuous agitation for the first 10 seconds, and then at least 4 inversion cycles every 30 seconds. At the end of the BF6 time, remove the cap from the tank and pour the BF6 out, recombining it with any excess chemistry still in the pitcher or storage bottle. Place your developing tank under running water that's about the same temperature as your Blix and wash for a minimum of 6 minutes. Alternatively, you can fill and empty your tank with water at least 10 times. And last but not least, make sure your cap is thoroughly washed. Once your film is fully washed, you can hang it up to dry. Oh, and refer to this video if you're having issues with water spots on your film due to hard water. It's good practice to weigh down the bottom of your film strip with a weighted clip or something similar to prevent the film from curling as it dries. And lastly, drying time is dependent on relative humidity and temperature of wherever you live. Now, storing your chemistry. The CR6 and BF6 you use to process your film should be recombined with any excess chemistry in each of their respective storage bottles. The CR6 and BF6 solutions are intended to be reused and can be stored for several weeks. If you're not sure if the chemistry is still good to use, you can conduct a snip test. And if you don't know what a snip test is, we made a fire video all about them that you can watch right here. Exposure to air, UV light, and heat will speed up the aging of your chemistry. So always store your chemicals in a dedicated storage bottle with as much air squeezed out of them as possible. Our accordion style bottles make it super easy to get that air out. They collapse down, which evacuates all that excess air. Keep your bottles in a cool, dark place away from the reach of children. So your film is processed. Now, I'm sure you want to view your slide film. When slide film is wet, the images may look dark, the color is slightly off, and the film base may also be a bluish tone instead of a nice opaque black. This is actually normal, so wait for your film to dry completely before inspecting it. If your roll comes out blank, you won't believe this, but we've actually made a video covering that too. Check it out up in the corner up there. You can use a bright white light source to view your slides, and scanning them couldn't be easier due to the fact that they're already positive images. If you have any interest in learning how to mount your 35mm slides for projection through a slide projector, stay tuned. That's a topic we're hoping to cover in a future video. Okay, processing color slide film isn't too difficult, right? I hope this video gave you all the confidence you need to tackle processing your own. The CineStill Cs6 Creative Slide 3-bath process makes it even easier than ever with just 3 simple chemicals. You've got this. And if you have any interest in learning how to develop color negative film or black and white film, we've made some really sweet videos on those too, and I'll make sure there's a link to them in the description. Anyway, you can find CS6 chemistry and this specific kit, as well as all-in-one bundles containing the chemistry, bottles, pictures, and more at cinestillfilm.com. And as always, I'm Linus, and I'll see y'all next week. Probably, but maybe not. There's a lot of new hosts on the channel recently, so let's just say I'll see y'all soon. Peace.